Hello, everyone, and welcome to Full Time, where we take you around the world of soccer, locally, regionally, nationally, and internationally. The Full Time podcast is presented and powered by 91 Network. You are listening to Season 5, Episode 23 of Full Time. I'm your host, Daniel Scarpino, and with me is our co host, Gitano Gallo. Before we begin today's show, we'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsors. The Full Time Podcast is sponsored by Little Caesars Pizza. With their two locations in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, you can download and access the Pizza Portal app so you can enjoy a delicious hot and ready pizza from Little Caesars today. The Full Time Podcast is also sponsored by Sioux Sports. To check out Sioux Sports and all of their articles, announcements, and streaming platforms, including True Host Media and True North Radio, visit siouxsports.com as well as Sioux Sports TV on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. We remind our listeners that recordings of Full Time occur weekly or bi weekly, and uploads to all of our platforms for public viewing and listening occur weekly or bi weekly as well. Folks, it is a pleasure to have you back with us on Full Time, where we get to have a lovely chat about all things footy. G, how are you today, my friend?
I'm doing well. Also, he's absolutely gutted with the Kevin De Bruyne news from yesterday, him leaving City at the end of the season. But we're coping. We're surviving. How are you doing today, Scarps?
I'm doing okay, man. Got out for a ski this morning cross country, so unbelievable that things are still open in April with this snow that we've been having. But yeah, to the De Bruyne stuff. I mean, he did win a thing or two at Manchester City. What a blessing it's been for you guys to have him. But that's definitely a conversation that we're probably going to end up having a little bit down the road here. In today's show, Gitano, we are going to discuss Europe's Big Five, the FA Cup, the Champions League, and the Europa League. As always, if anyone would like to listen to our previous content, please check us out at Full Time on all platforms of 91 Network. And without further ado, Gaetano, and to everyone who has taken the time to tune in here today, let's kick off. Let's get into Europe's Big Five, Gitano. We're going to get things started with the Premier League. Liverpool remain top by 11 points. They have 73 points to their name with a game in hand. Arsenal is second with 62 points after they picked up that draw this morning against Everton. Nottingham Forest is third with 57 points. Chelsea occupies fourth with 52 points, whereas Manchester City is fifth with 51 points. G talked about that De Bruyne news. There's about 7-8 games here left to play. What are your thoughts on the title race?
The title race has been over for a handful of weeks now. For being totally honest, the most interesting thing right now in the Premier League going is the race for the final European spots. Obviously, super tight. Obviously, Arsenal kind of clear from that, but between Nottingham Forest, Chelsea, City, even Villa and like Newcastle and Brighton, like it's still pretty tight in there in terms of who's going to end up in what European places. Big game obviously tomorrow's City United, the derby at Old Trafford, probably the biggest game, Premier League game left for City this season, anyways. You know, it shouldn't be, that type of game for City, considering just how, actually City season's been pretty poor as well. But just considering how poor United have been, it shouldn't be as difficult as a game as it's going to end up being. But yeah, it's really just not a lot of big games in quotations for our listeners left in terms of City, United, Arsenal, Liverpool, but a lot of those tricky, the Brentfords, the Brightons, the Newcastles. So it's really going to be an interesting end to the season here, these last couple of games.
Yeah, it very much is, Gitano. And I mean, we talked about it on our show on a number of occasions that the Premier League is locked up for Liverpool. Not mathematically, of course, but it will be in short time. And that race for the top five is good and well on, and a lot of things can happen. So in these final 7-8 games, some definite big games for all clubs involved in that race for sure. And taking a look at the top of the championship table, with 7 games remaining, it is Sheffield United who is top of the table with 83 points. Leeds and Burnley trail them by just 2 points. Sunderland, Middlesbrough, and Coventry occupy the remaining playoff spots. Gitano, it's about as tight as can be in the championship. Obviously, we've shifted our focus away from the bottom 3 in the Premier League, just given the distance in terms of the team, what they'd have to cover to get back into out of the bottom 3. So what are your thoughts right now on the championship?
Yeah, I mean Burnley have been super impressive. We talked about them last season. Oh, sorry, not last time they were in the championship, so 2 seasons ago. How fantastic they looked under Vincent Company. Um, they were a little out of their depth in the Premier League last season, and that was kind of expected. They're a very young squad, very kind of raw in the idea of what they were going to do. But obviously, going back down to the championship, they've just looked fantastic again this season. I think they'll put up a little bit of a better fight than they did previously in the Premier League. Not going to, 100% right now in the middle of April say they're going to, stay up next season or anything like that. But I expect the core of that group that's been there, been up and down a couple times now to kind of level out a bit and put up a bit of a better fight. And I will say that I'm really, really, really hoping to see Sunderland at least like make the playoff final. For me, like when I came up as like a fan of the Premier League, they were just a pretty regular
Yeah.
Premier League outfit. I watched the Sunderland Till I Die documentary on Netflix. Like, not that I like the club or like have any sort of affiliation with them, but it's an interesting story, and I would like to see them, at least push for the playoff final. Those fans deserve it, and if they were to get back to the Premier League, the battles with them in Newcastle in the league would just be fantastic.
Whatever. And what I will say too is that all of the teams that we just mentioned there, in regards to the top of the championship table, whoever does get into those playoffs, I think it's going to just be box office must watch football, because like, even if you take a look at Coventry, they had a terrible start to the season. I believe Frank Lampard came in, really sort of turn the fate of that club around, and now they're going to be battling to possibly get back into the Premier League. So there's a lot of good things happening there, and certainly more intriguing than what's happening in the bottom three of the Premier League for sure, Gitano. In Spain, La Liga continues to keep us entertained. Barcelona is top with 66 points. Real Madrid is second with 63 points. Atletico Madrid is third with 57 points after they've had a bit of a tough spell. Athletic Club sits fourth with 53 points. Gaetano, just speaking there about Atletico, they've had recent slip-ups in their last three games, with the two losses and a draw. Is it possible for them to get themselves back in the title race? And as well, what do you think right now of Real Madrid as well as top of the table Barcelona?
Yeah, I mean, starting with Atletico, I think this whole downfall kind of started, with the elimination from the Champions League and that controversial penalty decision for Julian Alvarez. They kind of have not been able to find a groove since then. Um, I again, mathematically, they're not out, but now you're looking at 9 points between them and Barcelona. I just don't see Barcelona dropping those points. Not that I don't see Atletico not winning them. It's more I just don't think Barcelona is going to drop 9 points in these last couple games, to kind of close that gap. As for Real Madrid, a huge, huge loss to Valencia last weekend. That's just crushing for their title hopes, especially now Barcelona have a game in hand as well. So they could realistically be going 6 points clear by the end of the weekend. Um, Again, it's not confirmed, it's not mathematically done, but Barcelona are definitely in the driver's seat now in Spain as we kind of get in this last stretch here.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, Catano, and we'll see if there's any twists and turns, as we often do see as the season comes to the business end. Out in Italy, Serie A, Inter is top with 67 points. Napoli is second with 64 points. Atalanta is third with 58 points, and Bologna is fourth with 56 points. Would you say that we are now officially in a two-horse race, or is there still some things to happen out there in Serie A?
I think we're down to two-horse race here. Atalanta, two losses in their last 5 games, back to back now. Really just kind of launched them out of the title race. Those 6 points would have been huge for them. They would actually be tied with Napoli right now if they'd gotten those 6 points. And again, it's kind of the same as the Atletico Madrid situation in Spain. It's not that I can't see Atalanta winning, a lot of these games. So I just don't see Inter or Napoli, who are in second, losing enough of these games to drop points for them to get back into the title race. And really, Inter, I don't want to say it's like done yet, but these 6 points that they're up right now is going to be pretty significant hill for Napoli to climb.
Yeah, man, I'm definitely with you. I'm ready to announce that it's a two-horse race, and I'm just hoping that it'll be to the final match day, because we'd all love to see that. Germany's Bundesliga has Bayern leading the way with 68 points. Trailing them is Leverkusen with in second with 59 points, but they do have a game in hand. Frankfurt still occupy third. Is that game in hand for Leverkusen make or break?
I mean, it kind of has to be. It's funny, we were kind of talked all season how Bayern were running away with the Bundesliga, wasn't much of a race, and how Italy's Serie A was one of the best races in Europe. And at this point in the season, it's a 6 point gap between first and second both ways.
Yeah.
So it's just funny the perception of how these title races went versus where they actually are right now. And again, it's kind of the same story we've talked about. It's not mathematically done yet for Bayern, but really Bayer Leverkusen cannot afford to drop any points right now. That game in hand is going to be huge for them to get them within, striking distance in quotations, I guess. But still are going to have to be heavily reliant on Bayern dropping some points. And the way they've been playing domestically this year, there's going to be very few and far in between the last couple games this season.
Yeah, again, Leverkusen's going to have to be as good as they almost were last season. They're going to have to hope for the worst for Bayern, which ultimately would be the best for them. And France's Ligue 1 remains about PSG as it has done all season. They are on the brink of winning the league as they have and get this, 24-point gap over second placed Monaco. We were just talking about this off air. Basically, PSG is going to win the title within the next week or even sooner than that. 24-point gap, unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, we were joking that there's teams, in the relegation zones of all the top 5 divisions that don't even have 24 points. Like a season's worth of points for some of these clubs still would not get them caught up to PSG with a 51-point cushion as well. It's just insane, the run that they've been on. And again, it's the project kind of finally coming together domestically, at least. We're still yet to see, in Europe how this all plays out, but domestically for sure. It's a young core of French-born players. No single superstar that they're relying on, just an actual full team. They've just been incredible to watch. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I've watched a ton of their games, full 90s, but obviously when you watch the highlights and the extended highlights, you get a good picture. But every time I've caught them so far this season, domestically or in the Champions League, they've just been phenomenal.
They have been, and again, we talked about it on our show. We talked about it off air. We don't pay attention so much to the league games. That being said, this year, I know I have a little bit more. You have a little bit more, as you just indicated. Have shifted our focus towards PSG specifically because, again, it's a different type of team, and we've alluded to it 100 times on our show. But it is a much funner watch, and I think it just bodes well better for them. Clearly, both domestically and as we're going to talk about here shortly in Europe. The FA Cup quarterfinals have wrapped up, and we will take you through the winners and who inevitably will be moving on to the semifinals of the oldest cup competition in the world. Between Fulham and Crystal Palace, it was expected to be a battle between two very comparable teams, but it was more of a one-sided affair than anything. A dominant performance on behalf of Crystal Palace would see them win 3-0 and move on to the semifinals of the FA Cup. I did not expect Mateta to play, which is ultimately why I picked Fulham. You did pick this one correct. If you could, please break this one down for us. What a performance from Crystal Palace.
Yeah, I didn't expect Mateta to play either. I thought it'd be a lot closer of a game. When I caught the scoreline, I was quite shocked, if we're going to be totally honest. I was expecting, a 1-0 in extra time or penalties. Was not expecting this, but Palace just doing kind of the most Palace thing of all time. They just played it's hard to even describe it because they're not dominant in any one area of the pitch. They're just incredibly well drilled, and they always have. And even under Roy Hodgson, they've just been fantastic, and they just look so solid, I think is the best way I can put it. He just really gave Fulham nothing, created a ton of chances, didn't concede a ton of chances, scored a boatload. Well, it's only 3, but you know what I mean? They were clinical when they needed to be. They didn't give up chances. It was just a really, really professional performance from Crystal Palace. I was blown away. I really was not expecting that game to be that kind of shifted in their favor. I thought it'd be a hell of a lot closer.
Well, you and me both. And it was interesting because when that game was played, that would have been last Saturday at the time of recording here today. And I said to myself, I'm going to watch the first half and then I'm going to go skiing. And, the game got about half an hour in. I'm like, yeah, Crystal Palace is playing really good, but I probably could have got my ski on with a little bit quicker. And then all of a sudden, in the space of 4 minutes, they scored 2 goals in the 34th and the 38th minute. I go, wow. and then they of course got that last goal there. But yeah, a professional performance indeed, and hats off to Crystal Palace. I do hope that they do well in this competition. It's a very reputable club. Brighton and Nottingham Forest had absolutely nothing that could separate them across 90 minutes, and then still nothing that could separate them across an additional 30 minutes as the game remained 0-0. It would require penalties, and it would be Nottingham Forest to get the better of Brighton by a score of 4-3 on penalties. Gitano, this one could have gone either way, and we did mention on our last show you might as well flip a coin on this one, and that's essentially what we did. I did pick Forest, you did pick Brighton, but it's 4-3 for Nottingham Forest on penalties as they get the better of Brighton. Your thoughts here?
Yeah, this is exactly what we were expecting from this game. And yeah, it was just two really, really high quality Premier League teams duking it out. Both teams fielded pretty strong lineups. I wouldn't say full strength for either, but definitely closer to full strength than not. And yeah, it was exactly what we expected. These two teams are super close, in terms of like their domestic performance this season. Obviously, Forest in a slightly better spot, but just the kind of how they've played all year, we basically saw that. And when it goes to penalties like that, it's always 50-50. But I truly think that if Brighton had gone through, they could have said that they deserved it as well. I don't think they'd feel like too hard done by, and I don't think Forest, should feel lucky to have gotten through. They played exceptionally well as well. I think penalties was kind of honestly the most fair way to do this. I think you could have played them. They could have played like a replay plus another thing of extra time, and it probably still would have went to penalties as well.
Yeah, no, you said that perfectly, Gitano, and we talk about it from time to time in football. In that, and justifying the means. And for me, I don't think any of those teams who would have lost on the day that they leave with their head, hanging. I think that they both did well, and whoever won deserved to go through. So yeah, all is justified in the end, certainly. Preston took on Aston Villa in the quarterfinal of the FA Cup, and it would be Preston who had tried to keep their fantastic run in the competition going, but Aston Villa would have none of it. Villa defeat championship side Preston by a score of 3-0. A noble effort from Preston and a very good run, by the way, in this competition, but Aston Villa proved to be too much for them in the end.
Yeah, and so I was expecting, and we talked about it on the last episode, I was expecting Villa to field a little bit of a weaker lineup, maybe a little more of the youth players, some reserve players. They fielded an extremely strong team, taking the competition very seriously. So yeah, as soon as I saw the lineups come out, I kind of figured Villa would be kind of all over it, and they did exactly what we expected them to do. They were just dominant. Marcus Rashford picking up 2 goals. And you talked, actually, well, we kind of both said it. You were a little more optimistic about Villa's transfer market work in January. I said it was going to be volatile. If these guys hit the ground running and, provided what they kind of are expected to, that they would be great. And if not, Villa's season could be going off the rails here. But, Marcus Rashford coming in, scoring those 2 goals, send them to the FA Cup semifinals. It looks like the January transfers, like strategy, is really paying off thus far. I'm just shocked at how strong the team they played, considering they're still battling for a European spot in the league and also in Europe right now as well. But yeah, just as fantastic as Preston North End have been in this competition, they were just no match for Villa.
I totally agree with that. Again, very well said. And what that game showed to me was that Aston Villa is not putting all their eggs in one basket because of the strong team that they played. It's that they're going for the FA Cup. They're going to try and get in that top 5 in the Premier League, and they're going to go for everything in the Champions League. But again, I've talked about it on a number of occasions. I think they did really good business. They've got the players. That squad is pretty healthy for the most part. So all guns blazing for them. And I'm sure that they will be successful in one of the 3 competitions, as we're going to talk about a little bit later. And Bournemouth went to battle against Manchester City in the last quarterfinal of this competition. A fun competitive match between these two teams would see only 1 goal separate them, but it would be Manchester City who prevailed by a score of 2-1. Your Manchester City booked their 7th consecutive ticket to a semifinal in an FA Cup. I really enjoyed watching this game. Got to say that it was a lot of fun. But I'm interested to know your thoughts, my friend.
Yeah, well, I mean, so we'll start with the first half. It just felt like the entire rest of the season where City do really well, create some decent chances, don't take them. First counterattack we concede a goal. So I was not feeling very optimistic after that. Just again, the way this whole season has gone, Pep also, like, I'm not gonna say heavily rotated the side, but there was a couple of players I was really surprised didn't start. He was obviously eyeing up the league game midweek against Leicester in the Premier League. Um, but the one of the biggest stories, obviously, is going to be Nico O'Reilly. Comes in the second half, creates 2 assists for the 2 goals. Academy player, hasn't really had a ton of chances this year, which is surprising given kind of City's lack of midfield kind of battle and strength and size and quality, and considering he kind of has all of that. But I thought he was just brilliant when he came on. It's nice seeing the academy being able to produce these kind of players, and also seeing them get into the squad as well and get the chance to and making an impact. But the biggest story of the whole game is going to be Erling Haaland's injury. He's done for at least probably 6 weeks. They said 6 to 8, depending. So hopefully we'll be back if City make the FA Cup final for that. But it seems like his league campaign at least is done. And it's just a huge blow for the club, obviously, trying to secure a top 4 spot, trying to win an FA Cup. Not ideal, but I thought City played. The second half was pretty good. Omar Marmoush looked fantastic, took his goal really well. He's got a nose for the box. Like he's lethal in there. I don't know if you saw his goal against Leicester on Wednesday.
I did. Well, I didn't match, but I saw the highlights.
Yeah, he's just, I don't know what it is about him, because anytime he's in the box, like, I'm just like, he's gonna score. And I've not felt that way, besides Erling Haaland, who's just like a freak of nature. Like any like normal striker, there's very few that I felt like, oh, like if you give him like not even like a half chance, give him a quarter chance in the box, he's probably gonna bang it in. I thought he was just brilliant. But yeah, it was not the most comfortable victory for City, but in the end, that's really all that matters, that it was a victory for City.
Indeed, yeah, and that's why I say for me as a neutral, it was a fun game to watch. Like I really enjoyed it. But yeah, for me, it was obviously the Haaland injury. That's going to be difficult. But again, we've talked about on a number of occasions. Sometimes that can really bind a team together, right? Finding different solutions to different problems. So if you are a Manchester City fan, which of course you are the biggest one that I know, but there are many out there, then you're just hoping that the team can find a solution for that. And we might as well address the elephant in the room as well, just over your head there. Get Haaland jersey, Erling Haaland. For our listeners, Gitano and I, we supported one of our good friends this past Thursday at his stags. He's getting married this summer, and that Erling Haaland jersey is signed. It's pretty authentic, and Gitano put in, I'm not going to tell you how much, but it's been rightfully won that that jersey. So a very good time with you on Thursday night, my friend, and a good time here picking up where we left off with the FA Cup. So, G, in terms of reviewing our picks, we both actually went 3 for 4 in our selection, so quite good. You only missed out on the Brighton pick, which, again, could have gone either way. And then I missed out on the Fulham pick, which, again, Crystal Palace were unbelievable. So pretty sound from us, my friend.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not going to try and toot my own horn here, but I'm getting better. I've been a little off this season. I'm slowly ramping up. You've kind of stayed at like a pretty consistent level. I started this season like pretty bad. I'm working my way back up.
That's it, man. We're in the business end of the season, so we've got to turn it up, right? The FA Cup semifinals, by the way, they are to be played on Saturday, April 26th at Wembley Stadium. And in a future episode of Full Time, we are going to preview those games for all of you. This is Daniel Scarpino and Gitano Gallo, and you're listening to the Full Time podcast on 91 Network. A reminder that Full Time is sponsored by Little Caesars Pizza and Sioux Sports. Check out the Pizza Portal app for a quicker, easier way to get your next hot and ready pizza from Little Caesars. And be sure to check out Sioux Sports at siouxsports.com and Sioux Sports TV on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. The Champions League quarterfinals are on the horizon, and we will take you down the path of each matchup and where our predictions lie. First, it's going to be Bayern Munich, who will go up against Inter. Gitano, where is your thinking at for this one, and who might go through to the semifinals?
So my thinking is this is going to be the best tie of the 4. I just think the quality on display in every kind of facet of the game is just going to be like top tier. The best team in Italy for the last couple of years, the best team in Germany for the last like 15 years. I just think this of the 4 matchups, and not that the other 4 or the other 3 aren't like very good. They're all like very, very high quality, but I think this is just the cream of the crop. I'm going to lean Inter. I just think if it comes down to it, I trust Inter can either go, full firepower and, outscore Bayern Munich, or if it goes the other way and they just want to shut it down and not give Bayern Munich anything, I think they can do that. I think Bayern Munich can score with the best of them. I think they can go overload the attack. I don't know that they can shut the door as well as Inter can. We've seen Celtic nearly beat them, nearly got through there in the knockout round. They obviously look better against Bayer Leverkusen, but I think there's just like a hinge of just a little bit of just like defensive frailties in that Bayern Munich team when it comes to playing in Europe. Domestically, they've been fine, but Europe they've been a little poor this season. And I just think that if you give a team like Inter that little sliver, they're going to take it and they're going to make you pay for it. So I'm going to take Inter.
I really struggled with this one more so than all the others. But the way that I had seen it and the way that I kind of still see it is that I think that Bayern might pull something out of the hat, something different that maybe we haven't seen yet. And again, I could be very wrong on that, but what I do believe is going to happen is that Bayern is going to have that sort of final tactical element of surprise up their sleeve. And I think that they just might surprise Inter. And again, I don't know what that's going to be, but I do got faith. I do have faith, in Bayern Munich, and I think that they just might edge Inter. Next, it will be the European giants, Real Madrid, up against Arsenal. Gee, there's a lot to discuss here, but what do you foresee happening in this one?
I'll keep it brief because I'm more interested to hear your thoughts. I just think with Arsenal's current injuries and just the way Real Madrid are in the Champions League, they're just a pain in the ass to beat. Even with the healthiest, best squad in the world, they're a handful. So I think a slightly depleted Arsenal backline is just not going to be able to handle this. I think Real Madrid are going to go through.
Yeah, and for anybody who's wondering who's out, obviously Gabriel just got announced that he's done for the season with his hamstring, and then some guys just coming back from injury. So, yeah, some problems with Arsenal's back line. Gitano, I think if you look at this from a historical perspective, history tells you Real Madrid wins this tie and that Arsenal does not. I think if you look at it from an injury perspective, Real Madrid wins this tie, Arsenal does not. When you look at it from a performance point of view this season, Real Madrid wins this tie, Arsenal does not. But I've got to keep the faith in that Arsenal is going to kind of like how I think Bayern Munich might do, just do something that's going to surprise the opposition. I'm hoping that Arsenal over two legs can do something that really surprises me and every other fan and hopefully surprises Real Madrid. And whilst I say this almost half-heartedly, I do got to kind of say it with my chest. I'm going to take Arsenal. It's going to be, I think, probably their most difficult sort of encounter, if you like, in the last 5 years under Mikel Arteta. But you get to find out a lot about a team when the chips are down, right? And a lot of chips are down, and they're going to have to figure out a way. And I don't know what that way is, but I'm just keeping my fingers crossed and praying that they do. So I'll take Arsenal despite the problems that we've been having this season, the lack of striker, etc. But it's football. Anything can happen. So that's what I'm banking on, G. Barcelona is going to take on Dortmund in this round of the competition. G, does Dortmund continue to go about their business, or does Barcelona run riot and knock them out? The floor is yours.
This is a tough one because Dortmund have just been horrific domestically. I think they're like almost like mid-table in the Bundesliga right now. Like they've just not been good, but they've just been able to turn it up time and time again in Europe so far. Obviously beating Sporting CP in the knockout round, beating Lille in the last round. I don't think that they're like totally outmatched, but just because in the current run of form that Barcelona are in under Hansi Flick, domestically and in Europe, they're just crushing it. I just think this is going to be the end of the road for the Dortmund team. They've done incredibly well considering how poor their season domestically has been. But I just think that like this Barcelona team, it's weird because I remember when Messi left, we were talking about like, oh, like who's going to get Barcelona back like the glory days of like kind of Champions League semifinals and finals and winning the league. I really did not expect the turnaround to be this quick. Like they look fantastic in almost every area of the pitch. Hansi Flick obviously is one of the best managers in the world right now running them. I just think they look fantastic, and I don't think it's going to be close, but I think it'll be comfortable enough for Barcelona. They should go through here.
And you know what? For the first time in these picks, we do agree, and I share all the sentiments that you just said there regarding Barcelona. Looked really good this season. They only went on one sort of patch where they were well out of form, but then they rebounded pretty quickly, and they showed themselves to be resilient in this competition as well as in league play. So I like the look of this team. I think for Dortmund, it just might be the end of the road, and they're going to have to do a bit of a reset going into next season. So, Gitano, I am with you. I'm also going to take Barcelona. And finally, it will be PSG taking on Aston Villa. Gitano, for one of these teams, it will be joy. For the other, it will be defeat. What happens here?
This is probably the most interesting of the ties. You have a really inexperienced, well, two kind of inexperienced squads in terms of this experience playing in the Champions League at this stage and playing on these big stages. But I just think the big difference, I think in terms of quality, PSG definitely has a little more like star power in their team and in their best 11 than Villa does. But I think that Unai Emery is going to be the difference maker here. He's a cup specialist as a manager. Just he wins trophies in these like knockout competitions so often. I think he's just going to outmanage PSG. I think it's going to be really tight. I would not be surprised if we got extra time or penalties in this tie. But I think that Unai Emery is going to be the big difference, and I think Villa are going to knock out PSG.
Gitano, it's a great show, honestly, and I've sort of echoed how much of a believer of Unai Emery I am on this show time and time again. In that, I always feel like Aston Villa will do well because he's at the helm. But for me, I only go on this one based on feeling, and I really did think, when the tie was announced, I thought, oh, Aston Villa will probably win that. But PSG, as we talked about earlier, and we talked about it week in, week out, they've been giving me a much different feeling this year. And the fact that they're giving me that feeling doesn't necessarily mean that I think they're going to go on and win the competition, but I do think that they will get past this round. I think that they'll find a way to get past Aston Villa. That's the feeling I get in my stomach. So just purely based on feeling, nothing else, I'm going to take PSG. So to review our picks, Gitano, we really only agree on one particular thing here. You're going to take Inter, Real Madrid, Barcelona, and Aston Villa. I'm going to take Bayern, Arsenal. I'll also take Barcelona, and then I'll take PSG. So the Champions League quarterfinal matches, they're going to take place on April 8th and 9th for the first leg. The second leg of games will be played on April 15th and 16th. And in our next episode of Full Time, we are going to review all the outcomes of the quarterfinals of Europe's biggest and best cup competition. Gee, can't wait for these. I think there's going to be some really awesome games.
Yeah, and I know we've said this every year that we like are on Full Time here, but like this is like the ties just keep getting better and better. The quality of the teams and the players just keeps elevating. It's just going to be incredible. It's
It
really
really
nice.
is.
It's really nice to be a neutral in this and not have a say in anything or any particular feelings because like I'm just excited to watch like all these great football games. That's really all I'm excited for. It's gonna be fantastic.
Exactly. And, I felt like that for many years, as you know, up until last year, where it's like, I just kind of get to watch and take it all in. But, the fact that I have my team, a horse in the race now, it makes it all the more exciting, as you know, being a City fan, because you are always there. But yeah, can't wait for these games, Gitano. I think that they're just going to be spectacular. And the other European competition that is catching our attention at this moment in time is the Europa League, as they too are ready for the quarterfinals. Gee, we haven't discussed the Europa League this year on our show quite yet, but we are getting down to crunch time here in the competition. What can you say for how things have transpired this year in the second largest European Club Cup competition?
Yeah, there's been already like a ton of upsets, a lot of typical kind of favorites going out. You're looking like Ajax is out, AZ Alkmaar's out, Sociedad's out, like Roma's out. Like there's just so many kind of like the typical Europa League teams not in the competition are all knocked out. So I'm really excited to see what these the the quarterfinals here bring us.
Yeah, you and me both, and some unexpected names that we're going to be talking about here. But it's kind of the beauty of football. So let's get into these picks here, Gitano. And in this round of the competition, the first one that we are going to look at is Bodo Glimt, who is going to take on Lazio. What are your feelings here?
I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't even know what the first club you said is, so I just kind of have to pick Lazio because I actually know a couple of their players and know who they are. Then they're typically like a team in this ballpark. You know what I mean? Like they're typically, upper mid-table to European spots in the Serie A, and typically kind of go for a little run in kind of a lower European competition. And yeah, I just don't have any idea who that other team is, so I got to go Lazio.
Hey, you know what? We got to be honest on our show, right? And I need to be fact check on this, but who was the club that the previous Manchester United manager used to manage out in Denmark? I think.
Oh, Molde.
Yeah, so they're in the same league as Molde. Is
Okay,
that
okay.
Denmark? Is
That
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 Denmark?
that helps. That helps a little bit, but like I
Yeah,
couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you what color their jerseys are. A player on the team, nothing.
nothing. Yeah, I know. But I'm pretty confident they're in the same league, and that's kind of like I don't know. It just sprung into my memory. But anyhow, yeah, I'm taking Lazio as well, and it's no disrespect to Bodo Glimt, but I really don't know enough about the club. I do know more than enough about Lazio and what they're capable of. So I'd be really shocked if Lazio doesn't win this one. But again, football, anything could happen. But I'm pretty certain that we know the outcome. A different matchup here, which probably has a little bit of higher stakes. We've got Rangers taking on Athletic Club in this round of the competition. Gee, I think this matchup has some real potential, but what do you think?
Yeah, I think this could be a super super fun matchup. Obviously, Rangers fans are some of the most hardcore in the sport across the globe. So for them to be playing in a European quarterfinal is going to be huge. I have a feeling that home leg for them is just going to be absolutely massive. But at the same time, Athletic Club are one of the better teams in Spain. Um, I think this is going to be really really tight. I think Rangers are going to get that advantage in the home leg. I think they might be able to get a result there. But I just think Athletic Club have a little bit too much quality for them, and I think they should go through.
Gee, I don't, and again, it's kind of similar to the PSG one for me. It's almost just a gut feeling. I feel like Rangers just might do something in this competition, and I can't really tell you why, but I mean, Athletic Club, I feel as though definitely are the favorites. I didn't look at the odds or anything like that, but what you said makes total sense. But I am going to go against the grain here a little bit, and I am going to take Rangers. And by the way, just quickly researched Bodo Glimt. It's not Denmark, it's Norway.
Oh yeah 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 yeah.
So,
That's right.
so yeah. So anyhow, but yeah, you'll take Athletic Club. I'm going to take Rangers. I really look forward to that time, most definitely. Leon will take it on Manchester United. Gitano, one of these teams are going to go through to the semifinals of this cup competition. Who will it be and why?
Well, Lyon, because they're playing United. I'm never going to pick United in a million
No,
years. But I also just do think Lyon is just a far better team right now in terms of their kind of domestic season, how they've played, their current kind of last couple of games run of form, and just the honestly the star power that United are lacking in their current squad. I think Lyon just have the edge in every category, and if United's going to be playing Harry Maguire up front, trying to get results, I feel like that's kind of encapsulates the whole issue at United. And I think Leon is just gonna again they're not gonna like cakewalk it and throttle them 10-0 over two legs, but I do think they'll win pretty comfortably.
yeah, man, I'm with you there, and a couple of former Gunners on Leon as well. So looking forward to hopefully them stomping United. I'm taking Leon. I think it's pretty clear. And Manchester United's season's been in turmoil for more reasons than one. I think that it's going to continue, and would not be surprised if they lose out on this tie by a few goals. And I do want to make another omission. I did say earlier the previous Manchester United manager. Feel really bad actually because I actually like him, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So yeah, that's what I was referring to earlier. But we'll both take Leon. I think that's pretty clear. And finally, Tottenham take on Eintracht Frankfurt to round out the quarterfinals. Gitano, both clubs will want this, but only one is going to get it. Who's it going to be and why?
I think it's going to be Frankfurt, and again, like the kind of joking reason is Spurs are going to Spurs, and they're just not going to win anything. But realistically, they've also just been in awful form recently. They've just gone completely off the rails. So after the January transfer window, because I had picked Matthias Tell as one of my favorite transfers from the window, because I thought if he hits the ground running and bags some goals here, like he could turn their season around. Not that they would do anything fantastic, but like make a decent run in the Europa League, get European football. Um, they've just gone completely off the rails. Ang just fighting with the fans now. The fans are right fighting with Ang. It's just all hell is broken loose. Oh, the fans they've wanted Daniel Levy gone for years, but like it's kind of ramped right back up to that. So I just think with the turmoil on the field, off the field, and just the fact that Frankfurt have been like pretty good. Like they've been pretty good domestically, done well, obviously in Europe yet this far. I just think that stability, that just lack of distraction off the field, and just the fact that they're a good team should be more than enough to beat Spurs.
Yeah, you know what, Gitano, the way I see this one, stability versus chaos. That's the way I see it. And for me, stability always wins. So I'm definitely taking Frankfurt. And I almost see like it's written in the stars for the future of Tottenham. They get out of this competition. And said, I always win something in my second season. They're not going to win. That's my opinion. He's going to get the sack. They're going to bring somebody in next season. 2026 World Cup happens. That gets wrapped up. Pochettino back to Spurs. That's what I'm calling right here on April 5th, 2025. I think that's what's to happen, Gitano. I don't know if you concur with that or not, but I just like what a mess they got going on.
I don't hate Poch back to Spurs as a shout, but I also just don't think you're ever gonna get like the Poch Spurs back at all. Like what he was able to achieve with that group, because that group was not, they were good, but they weren't great. And he performed miracles with that squad. And I don't think they're anywhere near close to kind of the team that he took over when he first came in. Like there was a lot more quality in that squad than there is right now. Um, yeah, if he goes back, it's just going to be, he's going to A, ruin his reputation there, and B, continue the cycle of mediocrity at Spurs, which I'm okay with, if we totally honest. Like I'm okay with seeing that happen.
Dude, you and me both. But I think what you're saying in short is lightning is not going to strike twice.
God no.
Yeah, and that's just what I think is going to happen. I think it'd be a hell of a story and a feel good factor, but reputation probably is going to go down the tubes. But U.S. soccer for him really isn't working out so good right now anyway. So everything is any time that there's an association with Spurs, it always melts, right? It is.
Yep.
It really is.
I think the only guy that's ever left Spurs in terms of managers and kind of maintained his reputation's Jose.
Yeah, and because it's Jose.
Exactly.
But he also came out and said, out of all of my clubs that I've been at, the only one I don't have a connection to is Tottenham, right?
Yep.
And he gets it. But we're both going to take Frankfurt, Gitano, and to review our picks, we really didn't agree on much of anything in the Champions League. We agree a heck of a lot here. We're both going to take Lazio. You are going to take Athletic Club, and I'm going to take Rangers. That's the only area where we differ. We're both going to take Lyon, and we're both going to take Frankfurt. And just like the Champions League, the quarterfinals of the Europa League are imminent, with the first leg of games taking place on April 10th and the second leg of games taking place April 17th. And just like we said for the Champions League, in our next episode of Full Time, we are going to review the outcomes for all of you. This is Daniel Scarpino and Gitano Gallo, and you are listening to the Full Time Podcast on 91 Network. A reminder that Full Time is sponsored by Little Caesars Pizza and Sioux Sports. Check out the Pizza Portal app for a quicker, easier way to get your next hot and ready pizza from Little Caesars. And be sure to check out Sioux Sports at siouxsports.com and Sioux Sports TV on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Full Time. As we wrap up today's show, we want to extend our greatest thanks to all of you. Thank you for supporting our show. G, as always, a pleasure, sir.
Absolutely, Scarps. It's weird being at the business end of this year, and like this is the first time the kind of the roles have flipped. Like you got Arsenal still kind of competing, and City kind of taking the back seat. So I'm excited for you. I'm excited to see. I like I said, I feel like it was last year or the year before. Like if City don't win the Champions League, I'd like to see Arsenal win it. Like for you personally, just you deserve that. So I'm really looking forward to these next couple of weeks of not supporting Arsenal, but supporting you. And yeah, it's going to be a hell of a run in here.
It really is. In these next 2 weeks, there's going to be so many stories that are going to be written. And thankfully for us here on Full Time, we'll be able to tell all of those stories. A reminder to our listeners that the next episode of Full Time will be recorded the week of April 14th, 2025. In that show, we will take a look at Europe's Big Five, the Champions League, the Europa League, and local soccer. As always, we'll keep everyone in the loop with all of the happenings in the world of football. For weekly content, make sure to hit like, follow, and subscribe to all platforms of 91 Network on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, Podbean, and Spaces at suitoday.com. For Gitano Gallo, my name is Daniel Scarpino, and thank you for tuning in to Full Time. We look forward to seeing you at kickoff next time back here on the Full Time Podcast and 91 Network. Best always.